Hello, I'm Soap, and welcome to my new podcast, Dress Up Dispatch, where I talk about Royal High, Monsterverse, and Mermaid Isle. And today we're going to be doing a deep dive into Monsterverse and its controversies. First thing I've got to say is that I like Monsterverse, so if you came to this video thinking that I was going to chat shit about it, then leave, I guess. So I'm going to talk about this in kind of chronological order. So I'm going to talk about the original hype. So as soon as Monsterverse became announced, lots of people were saying it's a Royal High copy, which it obviously isn't, because I've already talked about this before, but in a really bad video. Just because a game has a mystical theme and is in a school doesn't mean that it's a copy of Royal High. Royal High does not own that, and Royal High wasn't the first game to do that either. It didn't create the concept of having a school. That's just a thing that happens in real life. I feel like the general opinions way in the early stages of hearing about Monsterverse was that it was good and going to be the next dress-up game that will combat Royal High. And I mean, I don't get why we're pitting these two games against each other, because some of their player bases join. I feel like a lot of Royal High players like myself also play Monsterverse, so it's just a bit weird. I feel like that's more of a comment on Royal High's decline. So I feel like the earlier comments were much more positive, but as soon as the game's been closer to release, and it's been released for a week by now, and there's been crazy amounts of hate. So I guess I'll get into the first banning of the game then. So the first banning of Monsterverse happened when it was in its countdown stages. So the game hadn't even been released yet, and all you could see was a countdown that told you information about the game. Monsterverse was set to release on the 26th, I'm pretty sure, at 1 AM for me, of October, obviously. Then it just suddenly gets banned with no explanation. And Roblox gave inconsistent answers to why Monsterverse was banned. One of the most speculated reasons, and one of the reasons Roblox gave, was sexual content. Considering the game has been out for a week, I can tell you for certain there is no sexual content in that game. And they also wouldn't say what assets were the problem, so they could just get rid of those and carry on with the game. So it's obviously just kind of more like a problem with the Monsterverse image, rather than a single assets. To me, it just seems like a bunch of misogyny, and I'm going to be hear me out. I feel like this is quite a popular opinion though, because there's nothing sexual in this game, but the models are slightly curvy. God forbid a woman has curves. God forbid a woman exists. I'm not saying women are the only people who have these body features. I'm genderqueer myself, so it's I'm just gonna be general here. Are some of the clothes slightly revealing? Yes. But does that make it sexual? Not really. It just seems like a bunch of double standards coming from Roblox, especially when they're letting predators just roam around their games. But no, as soon as a woman has a body, that can't be happening. And a lot of people saying, oh, it's this asset, it's that asset, because they're more revealing. I'm you're kind of feeding into the idea that a woman just existing is inherently sexual, which isn't true. God forbid the model has breasts. I'm sorry. If you've gone through puberty, then you will. 50% of the population, they have breasts. So, what type of message is this meant to be sending to younger audiences? That they should be embarrassed of themselves because their body is inherently sexual. I said that in air quotes, by the way. It's just not. This is before the game came out, so there was a lot of speculation. The dev team were very open about it on their Discord and stuff, about they had really no clue what particular things were made the game banned, and some devs said it was because of misogyny, which I agree with, and they wouldn't tell the development team or the creator why it was banned. So it just seems like Roblox didn't want this game to go ahead. So anyways, they pushed back the release date because the game got banned a day before the release. They pushed it back to the 31st of October, so Halloween, which I think is quite a fitting release date. It did come out at 1 a.m, so I did play it on November 1st. But yeah, it just makes sense for it to come out around Halloween. I didn't particularly, me personally, I didn't particularly care that it got pushed back. I found it understandable. The development team are going through a lot of stress and they're just trying to make sure this game actually gets published. So, God forbid they need a few days. But a lot of people didn't like this, and some people even speculated that they purposely pushed back the release date. Like, why would they do that? It just makes people hate the game. I don't get why they would push it back on purpose. Like, some people are a bit brain dead. That'll become more apparent later in this podcast. I personally was actually kind of happy that it got pushed back because both Royal High and Mermaid Isle updated on the day that Monsterverse was meant to come out. So yeah, there was a theory about Royal Halloween update coming out on the same day as the Monsterverse beta release, and the theory was that Royal High made the Halloween update come out on the same day as the release to take away players from Monsterverse because they saw them as competition. I don't think that happened. I just think that's when they finished that update. They were being pretty open about making the Royal Halloween update, so like I don't think they maliciously put out an update. And even if they did put out an update, like, competition is competition. I don't think there's any like bad blood between the two games. The communities definitely, but like there was also like fake screenshots of Night Barbie, the creator of Royal High, like slagging off Monsterverse in beta. This was disproven. Like, search it up. People are so eager to put these two games against each other when there's obviously such a shared fan base. It's just a bit odd to me. You can like both Royal High and Monsterverse simultaneously. They're not at like odds with each other. Now I'm going to be talking about my first experience with Monsterverse when the beta came out. So I played 10 hours after the beta because that's just when I happened to wake up, if I'm honest. And before I get into this segment, I just need to put out there what beta means because some people are stupid. Beta means it's still in development, so it's not completely, so the game is not done. A lot of people complained about Monsterverse being incomplete. Like, no shit, it's literally a base game at the moment. Updates every Sunday. They're gonna keep on adding to the game. It has to start from somewhere, right? Also, they were very generous to make the beta free, because normally a select people get to do beta testing. For example, Royal High Campus Free, you had to be level 500, which isn't really that much of a requirement, but that meant not everyone could do it. And they were originally going to charge Robux, which is fair enough. So yeah, can we not complain about the fact that the game is incomplete? I think that's the point. Okay, back into my experience. If you want to see me playing Monsterverse for the first time, I have made a video of me doing that. So basically, you open the game and there's a title screen. There's not very much on the screen. I was like, they'll probably add stuff to this later. But it looks pretty cool with the book and everything. I joined the game and then there's really cool loading screens, like nice art. Unlike in Royal High, which has like just pink screens. Which, fair enough, the lag is diabolical in Royal High sometimes. I'm not comparing the two of these games. I know that Monsterverse has the potential to be way better than Royal High, and it's kind of showing that already. But I'm probably still gonna like Royal High more regardless, just because of my attachment to the game, not because it's better in any sort of way. I think the tutorial was probably one of the best game tutorials I've seen ever. It was very clear, and the voice acting was phenomenal. Like, it gives you a very clear introduction into what, like, the story of the game is and how to play. Like, they teach you the fundamentals of dressing up and fighting. I was especially, like, excited about the lore features, like the boat ride over the river Styx, the fact that we die in a cutscene at the beginning, and the statues of the dragon goddess. The scenery was really good. I've got to say, all of the maps look stunning. The school looks great, graveyard looks great, and it was really cinematic when they did any cutscenes. So aesthetically, it is better looking than Royal High. It kind of reminded me of the feeling I had when I saw Campus Free for the first time. The Enchantraverse from Campus Free for the first time, because that's when we used to have story mode. I was like, this is so mystical. I feel like a big part of that, which made Monsterverse feel so mystical, was the music, because the Monsterverse theme tune is so good, and all the background music is great. I know I'm just glazing the game, but there were some problems for me. So I experienced multiple glitches, and I know a lot of people did as well, and there's a lot of complaints about that, but I'll get into that in like a teensy bit. It probably is just a me problem because I was like on my iPad, which, to be honest, it can't really support like Royal High or Mermaid Isle very easily. So the first glitch I experienced was in the tutorial when the arrows point you towards the center where you all spawn now. It was meant to teleport me into the fight with Daisy section, but it just didn't. So I just had to leave and join the game. It was a very easy fix. This might have been frustrating for some people, and it might have like encouraged them not to join back and play again, but I was pretty determined to play Monsterverse. It didn't really put me off or anything. And then the next problem was the fight with Daisy. It was incredibly laggy, so laggy that it made me exit the Roblox app, which was crazy. Like, it was, again, a pretty easy fix. I just joined again and skip the fight. And then I'm at the next stage of the tutorial, so it's good that they save at each interval of the tutorial. I know a lot of other mobile and tablet users have the same problem, and people who said they had good internet and computers said they didn't experience these glitches. And I've got to say, I've got really good internet, so that was obviously not the problem. About like 10 hours after the update, most of the glitches were gone. And the tutorial now works perfectly fine. They fixed it pretty quickly after the release came out. I just happened to play it when there were glitches, so it's not really a problem anymore. So complaining about how glitchy the game is a bit like pointless, considering that they're always fixing bugs and the dev team are very determined to make sure it's not laggy. The thing is, with glitches, I feel like people were just complaining for the sake of complaining. Like, loads of people went into the game looking for things to complain about. So it wasn't really about the quality of the game, it was just the fact that they didn't like the game. And most of this hatred came from the Royal High community, which is like, guys, what the hell? Since when were we toxic to other games? I thought we were only toxic about Royal High. Since when did we even like Royal High? Like, I'm getting mixed signals here. I know I said we, but I'm very much not included in the toxic community. I like to separate myself from that. Also, people who are mad about the release date being delayed by 6 days is crazy. Like, 6 days, that's not a long amount of time. You must have other things to do with your life in 6 days. Like, get a grip. That sounds a bit rude. I understand being disappointed, but like, it wasn't the Monsterverse like creators' fault. It was Roblox's moderation team's fault. I also saw like very mild complaints about like the shopping section. I personally really like that you can add everything to a cart. Like the fact that you could buy in bulk, because in Royal High it takes an incredibly long time to buy one item, so when you're trying to like buy a whole shop, it's just like not very ideal. So I liked this. But some people said that they didn't like the fact that there was no try on. You had to put it in your cart to try it on. I also didn't like that aspect, because they take off all your clothes and then they make you wear all the items in your cart, which I wish there was an actual try on section which you could try on with your clothes and you didn't have to put them into your cart. And no one was particularly mad about this, it was just like a small criticism. I also forgot to mention that you can now skip the Daisy fight scene if it doesn't work for you, so even if there was glitches, there's not much to complain about. They also fixed data loss and VIR bugs, which I didn't know these bugs existed. I feel like the bugs exist for very short periods of time before I find out about it, because they're always fixing bugs very rapidly. There's a bunch of updates, and so by the time I release this video, a lot of information might be a bit outdated, and that's why I don't post individual Monsterverse videos, because I have an upload schedule I can never keep up. I think the main problem is patience, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's so buggy, but like within a day of Monsterverse coming out, most of the bugs have been fixed, and they're still fixing bugs. A lot of people are like, oh, there's not much in the game yet. It's literally the base game. They're meant to add on to it, and I've got to say there's actually quite a lot in the game for a beta and like the base of the game. Like, I know we've basically just got dress up at the moment, but there's still like a bunch of maps you can farm, and I must say, farming is very easy, but also very boring. I think they might make farming less easy once it's out beta, but I hope they don't. Another mild complaint, which I understand, is the lag in the training station server. I think this could be fixed if they just lowered the amount of people who can be in the training station server. Another thing that changed from the beginning of the game is that Gulars are now like individual to you, and by this I mean no one can steal them from you. Because originally you were in competition for the Gulars, which is the currency. I just really don't know how to pronounce it if I'm honest. Okay, let's talk about all the Royal High copy allegations. A lot of people took screenshots of placings in the game and compared it to places in Royal High. Some things are similar, but most of them are just like everyday objects. They're like, they have this in Royal High, it must be a copy. I'm like, are you dumb? Like, for example, there's some suitcases in like a kind of trolley that someone's taken a photo on Twitter and then compared it to the Royal High suitcases on a trolley. I'm like, this is a boarding school. There's gonna be suitcases. Like, how many ways do they want people to make suitcases? They didn't have to be like completely different. That's just how a suitcase looks. They don't even remotely look like they're a copy of each other. They're just things that exist in real life. Royal High don't own the idea of a suitcase. Do some people actually believe that they're right when they're doing this? Also, who's looking for these really minute like similarities? Like, get a life. Why are you playing a game just to be like, oh, this very slight thing is a copy? Like, you just know that people went into Monsterverse trying to find things to hate when they're going for things like this. I've also seen screenshots comparing the offices, and they're not even like the same shape. The Monsterverse office also looks a lot better than the current Royal High office. Not that it matters. Sure, the front desks are slightly similar. Like, that's the most logical way to make the front desk. What do you expect them to make, like, a hexagon or something? Like, I'm sorry, it's a school, it's going to have a school office. One of the craziest comparisons that I saw was them using the same font for cafeteria that Royal High did. I'm pretty sure this font for cafeteria was literally, in Royal High, was in Campus Free, so that's a kind of a random dig, considering that Campus Free isn't our current campus anymore. I was gonna say you can't own fonts. I mean, some places do own fonts, but this is not a Royal High exclusive font. If it was, Monsterverse couldn't use it. Royal High doesn't have possession of this font. Is it a bit weird that they used for the same place? I guess, but they're also both fantasy games, and that's kind of a fantasy themed font. I also find it weird that you're looking into small details like fonts, like, oh wow, this means that the whole of Monsterverse was a Royal High ripoff. Like, you've proved nothing, except from that you don't have a life. Another crazy thing was people saying that they stole the trees. Like, trees? How can you own how a tree looks? They compared, like, one of the trees you use which you can put in your dormitory, to the trees that are just, like, around it, like, the kind of spiral looking trees that are just kind of around the Monsterverse campus. Like, Royal High can't own a tree. Trees, like, look like this in real life. They're not even the same asset. They have differences. They're just trees. Like, get a grip. A less crazy comparison, but still an odd comparison, is a comparison to the area with, you know, the picture of the Monsterverse cast, I'm just gonna say that, with the hay bales sitting around it, compared to the Falling Leaves Festival stage area. The only thing similar there is that there were hay bales. Monsterverse is an inherently Halloween-y game. Falling Leaves Festival is a Halloween event. It's not even the same type of area. The stage is made for costume contests. This area is just kind of there, aesthetically. Like, what? They're not even the same thing. If something was copied from Royal High, it would be the same asset. Like, the things that they're comparing aren't the same exact shape. It would be the same thing, like, recolored or something. Like, it's not... They haven't stolen any assets. And if they did, Royal High would probably sue them. They've done this before. One of the stupidest comparisons was the dorm hallways. They compared the Monsterverse dorm hallway, which is just a hallway with doors to dorms, to the Campus Free Royal High dorm hallways, which is also just a hallway with dorm doors. Like, I don't know what else you want them to be like. And this is also a stupid comparison because Campus 4's hallway doesn't even look like this either. But anyways, they were comparing the the ceiling architecture, which is just like typical architecture you find in like old historical buildings, like cathedrals, which is like you can't copy architecture, that's a thing that happens in real life. I mean, I guess you can, but like, I don't think Monsterverse was inspired from Royal High's arches. Like, they were comparing arches. Arches just exist in real life. Go outside, touch some grass, see a historical building. Architecture like this exists in real life. It's most likely inspired from that, because it's a building. So, yeah. Another stupid thing was the comparison of the banners. The banners don't even look slightly alike. Like, these are fantasy games, they're going to have banners. Way in the past they had banners on castles and stuff, and these campuses are castles, so it just makes sense that they have banners that represent their school. The Royal High banners and the Monsterverse banners don't look alike at all. The Royal High banners represent the different elements. The Monsterverse banners literally just has the logo on. They're not even the same shape, and the banners kind of remind me of banners used in Monster High, which the game is inspired by. Like, banners aren't exclusive to Royal High. Like I said, touch some grass, I guess read some history books. There's also comparison of clothes, which was really inevitable, honestly. But I've got to say the Monsterverse clothes are of much better quality than Royal High. Like, the free set was better quality than like sets that I paid hundreds of thousands of diamonds on. And I was like, wow, I'm really getting this for free. I'm not trying to shade the set designers for Royal High. I feel like the way the Monsterverse sets fit on the body types is probably what makes them look better, considering they're more diversitized than the Royal High stick figures. So anyways, they compare the opposites track sleeve to a Monsterverse sleeve I don't really know the name of, because I'm not really that deep into Monsterverse. Like, it's not even the same shape. Opposite attract sleeve is kind of a fingerless glove situation with stitching on the outside and a tattoo, but the Monsterverse sleeve only goes over one finger and it's more of a sleeve than a glove. It also just has stitching as well, that's the only similarity, but the stitching is underneath. And a lot of clothing in Monsterverse has stitching because it's Monster High inspired. There's like a lot of bows and stuff. They don't even have the same vibes, it's just kind of grasping at straws, honestly. Okay, there is one item that looks exactly the same. The white fur from the Winter Guardian set. And in Monsterverse, I'm not sure what set, it's just an accessory. But the only thing I've got to say is that's just an item of clothing that people wear. Royal High can't really claim to own that because that's just like kind of a wintry outfit item. I fear it's not unique to Royal High. More clothes that are similar are the bonnet from the BIM set and the Starfrost bonnet. And all I've got to say about this is, I don't know, bonnets exist. That's just what they look like. I don't know what you want me to say about that. It's just an item of clothing that exists in real life. I don't know what you expected. Did you expect Monsterverse to make it so obscure that it doesn't even slightly look like the Royal High version? I don't think it was a copy. There's also a comparison of the skirt from the VIM set to the Whimsy Witch skirt. They're not even the same like shape. They both give kind of Victorian vibes. The only similarity is really the length and the overall outline. Like, if I were to like remove all details, maybe they'll look slightly the same, but like the individual shapes and like the frills and stuff, they're completely different. I'm sorry I'm not showing any like photos or anything to prove what I'm saying, because this is the podcast. You don't have to believe everything I say. Take everything with a pinch of salt. I just find it really weird to pin these games against each other, considering they have like a very overlapping player base. Another Twitter post I saw was, I'm going to summarize it. Royal High released Campus Free without bugs. Sorry to break it to you, but Campus Free was not a whole new game. Was it in beta testing? Yes. It was just an add-on to a previous game that existed, which has a much bigger development team. These are not fair comparisons, you know? I don't get how all these people are saying all these things and actually believing it. Oh, there's also a thing I forgot to mention. A lot of people complain about the long loading screens. I'm like, yeah, it is in beta, and it is a big quality game, and by this I mean like the graphics and stuff. There's a lot, so it can be quite laggy. You can now skip the loading screen, so I'm not sure if that fixes everything, but that's now a thing you can do. Okay, the day I'm currently recording this, it's been a week since the game came out. It's been almost 2 days since Monsterverse got banned for the second time. I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't think this is gonna be the last time Monsterverse is banned. Every time it's unbanned, Roblox really takes no accountability at all. It's got moderated for sexual content again, and they wouldn't say what assets were the problem again. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it's all just misogyny. And a lot of people are saying, oh, it's this item of clothing, it's this item of clothing. And I've just got to say, it's not the clothing that's the issue, it's society, which is pretty obvious if you're even slightly feminist. A woman just existing, or having slight curves, or having, God forbid, a woman has breasts, or anyone else. A woman existing and having natural body parts does not make them sexual. Quite frankly, it's misogynistic and it's a bit hypocritical coming from Roblox, giving the recent stuff, you know. I don't really want to get into that, but yeah. I didn't really know it was banned at first. I was like, Monsterverse just stopped existing for me. I was like, oh, that's a bit odd. After it came back, there was a new Halo, which it's a really nice looking Halo, and the devs are really nice about it. I feel like a lot of people don't understand that this won't be the last time that Monsterverse is banned. I don't know what Roblox is on, but they're not gonna stop moderating this. Like, nothing's changed. They didn't add anything to the game suddenly, so this won't be the last time. The crazy thing is that this game has 2 million visits, and Roblox did not tell the creator that it was unbanned. Like, Peach heard it from other people telling her. Like, what on earth? That's just mad. But also not shocking, Roblox moderation is kind of shit, and it favours all the wrong people. Okay, now that I've got a lot of the video out of the way, I'm now going to do a segment that I do in every episode of Dress Up Dispatch. In this segment, I say an embarrassing dress up game confession. Okay, my confession is my Royal High OC used to be a furry. I'm not a furry, and there's nothing really wrong about being one, but I used to have cat ears and tails on my OC, and it was on my YouTube profile and everything. Now back into the rest of the podcast. If I'm honest, I don't really have much more to say, which is weird. I thought this would be a longer deep dive, but really I've just scratched the surface. I guess there is also another thing, which I don't remember the full passage of what this developer said, but they said something like, everyone is included, blah blah blah, and they used the word kinks. And everyone's like, oh no, that's wrong and sexual. But this word has another meaning. It means like things that make you unique. It's kind of obvious that they weren't going to be talking about the sexual connotations in a game that's available to children. They're saying everyone is included. Could they have used another word? Should they have? Probably. But I think people always jump to the wrong conclusions. They always want to assume that someone's bad and just jump onto the drama. Didn't really make me feel any sort of way. I wasn't like, oh, you shouldn't have used that. I guess it could have been handled differently. I really like how open the Monsterverse team is and how inclusive they are. And I think it's really good that we are getting a dress-up game from a group of POC creators, because inclusivity is really important, and that's been kind of one of the reasons for the downfall of Royal High. So I'm hoping Monsterverse is a place where everyone can feel safe and feel like they are represented. And with the multiple body sizes, it seems like they're going in the right direction. Got to see when I made my first avatar with the t-shirt, I was like, wow, I feel like this really, the silhouette, I feel like that represents me. But if I wear like any sort of other clothing, I was like, maybe not. I don't have that, what's it called, hourglass figure. It just looked more natural wearing the t-shirt when I wasn't stick thin, like in Royal High. Monsterverse updates so frequently that I'm not going to make normal length videos on it. I will talk about it a lot in my podcast, but probably not a full podcast episode like today. Because I am planning on doing a podcast on how unrepresentative certain body types like masculine, plus size, etc. in dress-up games. So I am going to talk about Monsterverse in that, but I'm mostly going to use it as a comparative piece to see, oh, this is what Monsterverse did right compared to what Royal High did wrong. I don't want to pit these two against each other. I'm just saying sometimes it's just like you've got to show that it is possible to add inclusivity. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like it is. It feels like Roblox is pushing back so hard on having inclusive body types, and it just feels like they don't want women to have safe spaces. It just feels a bit odd. I gotta say, women aren't the only people who play this game. I'm non-binary. Monsterverse also has pretty good masculine options. A lot of people complained before. Oh, here's a big one I missed. Before Monsterverse came out, people were saying there was rumors that there were only 4 masculine hairs, and of course it is like about 6, so they weren't far off. But like, I'm sure they'll add more as the game goes on, since they update every Sunday. But if they don't, then I guess it will turn into a problem. So now, because I don't have anything really much to say, I'm going to be trying to look for some good comments in the Monsterverse Reddit. I'd like to share some positive stuff people are saying to kind of cancel out the toxicity. I'd like to say I'm sorry for being so aggressive in this video. I feel bad if you're one of the people who was like hating on who believed that Monsterverse was a copy, because I was being a bit rude, but some things people say makes me think they have like one brain cell. Like, I don't understand some of these comparisons, if I'm honest. Anyways, let's just get straight into reading these posts. I'm not gonna say these people's names because I feel like that's a bit weird. Okay, I said, I've been playing Royal High since like 2018 and it's just ruined now, but the fact that as soon as I opened Monsterverse, I immediately saw how much better it is. First off is the fact that the free set you get is better than all the sets we get from Royal High packs. Sorry, I'll comment about it later. In the last 4 years. Like, it's so detailed and the bodies are so customizable. You get 3,000 free currency when you start off the game and codes with more items and currency. Yeah, there's bugs everywhere and everything's not functioning yet, but it's in beta and already beat a game that I've been playing for how many years? Farming now is easier and currency respawns so quick. The shop isn't overly priced and you get a free halo. It's so inclusive, and me as a chubby person feels so good to finally be able to dress up and feel included in a fashion game. I can't wait for the game to be finished. I feel like it will offer so much more and be a very good game to play in free time. Okay, I've got a lot to say about this one. This is a really nice comment. Since I've been playing on this account, on my current Roblox account, Royal High, since 2019, but I played when I was a lot younger on another account. So yeah, when I opened Monsterverse, I knew that I was also going to be better than Royal High, and I know a lot of people are disappointed in Royal High for obvious reasons, and I completely agree about the thing about the free set. I talked about that earlier. The currency, yeah, respawns so quick and no one else can take it from you, so farming is incredibly easy. I really enjoy that. Items aren't overpriced. I was going to say they are quite pricey, but now that I compare them to Royal High, they are like a fraction of the price and pretty easy to farm for. And it's really nice to hear that plus size people feel included in this game. It really shows that Monsterverse is about inclusivity. Okay, I'm going to be reading the comments. Hi, I would just like to remind you that the devs asked us not to be comparing games like this. They are different games, so it's not fair to either of them to be held to others' standards. You get what I'm trying to say? It's okay to like one of the two games better, but we shouldn't be dragging the other down, especially since they both strive for different goals and were created by different people. Yes, I agree with this, but I think it's important to say that it is possible for things to happen, like inclusivity, by putting Monsterverse on a pedestal. I don't think we should be like saying Royal High is like so awful and Monsterverse is the best game in the world. I don't think we should say vice versa. But I didn't really think it was what this person was saying malicious at all, considering this whole video is me comparing the games. And someone says, I love how you can put the mask items on femme bodies. I didn't even know you could do that. I wish we could do that in Royal High, because that's the only reason I'd ever wear mask bodies, considering they're always broken. Another person comments, guys, again and again and again, stop, in all caps, comparing Monsterverse with Royal High, DTI, It Girl, etc. Be so for real, it just causes unnecessary drama between the communities. Like I said, the creator of the original post, they didn't say anything completely rude. They just said, this feels better for me. Like, they weren't really spreading negativity. Like, some people, I know, sometimes you do have to do some healthy comparison. You can't just say these are individual things. Maybe I'm just saying this because I just made a podcast to compare dress-up games. My bad, I didn't know it was a controversial thing. Why can't we just like all these games? I'm not trying to cause drama with anyone. I like both of these dress up games. Like, liking Royal High and Monsterverse aren't mutually exclusive. Okay, the next positive thing I can find is someone saying role-playing is so back. I actually thought that role-playing was kind of dead when I played, but I'm actually so glad that some people are using this game as a role-playing game, because it's been a long time since we've actually, as like a community, like Royal High, have had a game where you can interact with other people. Because when I was playing, no one even slightly chatted. There was like no messages in the chat, and the server had been up for a while. And then the next person says, okay, I love, in all caps, the mask customization in this game. And that felt good to hear, because it's been a long time since people have been like, oh, the mask customization in like any dress-up game is good. And there are a lot of comments, so I'm not going to be able to go through them all. The first person says, you mean I won't have to force myself to play as a girl? Which is a bit sad. I mean, a lot of people do like to cross-dress in the game, but because the best items in Royal High are the feminine items, really. I'm glad that people can feel more included. And then someone says, this game came out hours ago and it already has better and more male customization than most other games that have been around for years have. Agreed. Then someone else says, it's so good, if only a certain game learned from this ... Okay, like, I know as a community we are normally passive aggressive like this, and the shade of Royal High a bit not necessary. I hope they're moving in a way towards masculine bodies, but I know they said recently that's not their priority. Hopefully the scaling system will be good. I feel like that's the only way they could end up fixing the problems with body types. The commenter says, I've been having a blast so far as a mask player, lol. And the scaling / moving system helps so much to make unique stuff. I love this game. Yeah, I really like that we have a scaling item, especially when it comes to accessories, because my Monsterverse character is a demon, so I can move the hat to make it fit. I really like that. I'm not a mask player, and I've never really been attached to playing as a mask player, even though I am genderqueer. I just feel, because the options have always been better for them presenting people, and I've always just kind of wanted to dress that way. Because I use these dress-up games more of like an escape. I don't see them as a facet of myself, you know? Okay, there's a criticism, which, like, not a toxic one, so I am going to include it. Is it just me, or do most of the characters have the same face syndrome? And then they show a bunch of characters, which all have different faces, not gonna lie. I feel like the problem with the face is the shape, and the eyes are around, well, the eyes and the mouths are around the same shape. They all felt like very big to me, and I'm not really into the faces in Monsterverse, if I'm completely honest. But none of them felt right, because I didn't really like the fluffy lips and stuff. Everyone's saying in the comments that it's most likely because of the lips. That's what I was saying. Because all the eyes look completely different, like their facial expressions are different. But all the lips are like around the same shape and all big. So yeah. Someone says, I know the game is being mass reported, I just can't prove it yet. Yeah, there is a lot of rumours going around. I do think it got mass reported firing sexual content. Because how did it get banned so many times? Like, why does everyone care so much? Oh, there's a lot of comments on this one. This comment says, DTI players mass reporting a game because there's a plus size body. I had no idea that Dress to Impress had beef with Monsterverse. I guess that does make sense, considering there's 2 million, a lot of Royal High players defected to Dress to Impress, and then that community got toxic as well. And yeah, I guess that is a dress-up game that I'm not really going to be talking about in this podcast, because it's not my favourite game, if I'm honest. It feels even less inclusive than Royal High, and I don't really like the competition side of it, if I'm honest. A lot of people are just agreeing and saying that it was Royal High and DTI players. I agree with that. I think we just need to, like, get along. I don't know. And I kind of reminded, they were saying that they were pinning devs against each other. That kind of reminds me of, like, the bunch of stuff that I haven't really dove into this, but apparently a lot of people are saying really racist things about the devs of Monsterverse because they're people of colour, which is like, guys, hatred towards Monsterverse doesn't come out of a place of just disliking the game. They just want to find something to be mad about and someone to shit on. It's just not. Okay, so someone's sharing their opinion on the VIM. First of all, I love the items, they're amazing and so detailed, actually look like a vampire, something a vampire would wear. The price is worth it, it's amazing, and can't wait to see what they add next. to it, and I know there's still a few features to be added. I recommend buying it if you would like more clothing items. It's nice to hear about the VIM. I was thinking of buying it, but it is a lot of Robux, and I'm not exactly addicted to Monsterverse like I am to Royal High, just because I haven't been playing it as long. So I feel like it would probably be a waste for me, because I actually like how the way my OC looks at the moment. I really don't need the intricate details. But I've got to say the set looks amazing, and I really like the gacha aspect. It reminds me of Mermaid Doll. I'm not comparing the games, and I really like that about Mermaid Doll, the shrine, going to the shrine to get all your tails. It just adds an element to the game that I enjoy. Okay, here's a comment from 6 days ago, so this is pretty much when the game came out, so most of these bugs will probably be fixed by now. I'm really excited about this game, just like everyone else. Anyways, when I open the game I can get past the main menu just fine, but after I get into the main lobby I'm there for a few seconds and then my game crashes. So I don't know if it's just my game in particular or if it's a problem anyone else has been experiencing. I just want to play. So Monsterverse did crash my game, but that was during the tutorial phase. A lot of people were saying to turn down graphics and stuff, but like I said, this was 6 days ago, so this problem is most likely changed by now. Someone said not Royal High community celebrating on Twitter because MB got taken down. I hope this didn't happen. I'm not on Twitter, but like Royal High has always been a toxic community, but I don't get where this came from. We were always shitting on Royal High, like our own game, and now suddenly we're like, oh, small game made by small developers, let's shit on that because it might do better than Royal High, and it is. 2 million visits within like a week, that's mad, and they deserve it. Someone else says is general reminder that yes, it's annoying we can't play right now, but this is 10 times harder on the devs than it is on you. Monsterverse got unbanned yesterday for me, so yeah, I completely agree with this. I feel like it was the same for the first banning. Everyone was so mad about it being pushed back, they were starting rumours and everything, and everyone was so mad that it's like, oh, what about me? I can't play this game anymore. But it's so much worse for the people who are making this game and who rely on it as a source of work. Okay, another post says, just saw the thread all the copying Monsterverse did, and legit most of them aren't it. This is probably just gonna say what I've said throughout this whole video. Like, some of them are like, yeah, fair enough, you got a fair argument there. But like, so much of them are like, no? I said no like that because there was a bunch of question marks. One of them is apparently the game copied Royal High because they both have water fountains. Both have two completely different designs, by the way. Last time I checked, Royal High does not have copyright over a damn school stuff. Oh no, Monsterverse has a similar filing cabinet. Filing cabinet? You can't do much with a simple filing cabinet. Not gonna lie, I've actually seen the screenshots of the filing cabinets from both games, and they're not even the same type of filing cabinet either. They're really grasping at straws staying on Monsterverse. Okay, here's a post which was said before Monsterverse came out. Just because Royal High is dragging y'all doesn't mean you should drag back. It literally makes everyone look stupid in the end. Just ignore them and go about your day. They want attention, man. Play the game, enjoy the community, please quit comparing the games. I agree with this, but I feel like if you say you can't compare the games at all, it's like you're kind of getting rid of room for conversation. I feel like we can say it civilly, but now it just seems like Monsterverse people are like, oh, it's always the Royal High people. It's like, I like both Royal High and Monsterverse. I feel more connected to the Royal High community but not really the toxicity. I completely agree with most of the people who are siding with Monsterverse, because everyone who's saying Monsterverse is a copy and making up all these rumours, they're just insane, if I'm honest. I don't think we should be dragging Royal High, because yeah, some of the people who are defending Monsterverse do seem a bit stupid as well, because they're also complaining about Royal High. It's like you're doing the same thing back. It's hypocritical. Except from Royal High has to complain about like toy sets, mask bodies, etc. But like I said, everyone's like, stop comparing the games. I feel like setting it up, comparing the games isn't automatically toxic. Everyone just assumes that it is. Like, people comparing them in good faith are comparing them in good faith. It's not always toxic. You know, when I compare them, I'm not saying they're similar, because quite frankly they have whole different like vibes, and the genre is slightly related. That's why their only connection is really being a dress-up game, and that's why it's in my dress-up dispatch. I'm not trying to promote toxicity by comparing these games. Here's another post from before Monsterverze came out. This is a post from the 25th of October, so this is just as soon as the first the delay happened. The hate/toxicity for the delay makes no sense, and it's just downright horrid. It's been breaking my heart to see all the hate ripping at the devs and mods lately, despite them doing their best at catering to us and fixing the situation. They expressed that just the release was stressful, even pre-Roblox moderation disaster, so I can't imagine the toll it's been taking now. Yes, we can have our opinions and complaints and feel down about the delay, but doing it in an accusatory tone I've often been seeing is just making everyone bitter and sadder. I'm genuinely not trying to bootlick here, but I think the delay only being a week is excellent considering everything. Those who are complaining about release time being inconvenient should note that you don't need to be there on the absolute first second the game opens. We already have a hefty 24-hour to get the Hontora collection, the Game Pass sale, the free currency, and do the tutorial, which is also extremely generous pack of gifts. I agree with the former. 12 hours would be a little tight considering some people would have been sleeping or working, but it's all good now. So we'll take a step back and try to understand the devs' point of view instead of immediately pointing fingers. Same to all the Discord moderators. The server is on lockdown right now, which absolutely makes sense seeing the crap the team is getting. This small team is already upholding an absolute giant of a game on their backs and trying their best to make the release as smooth as possible, despite the shots fired at them. And we as a community should be cheering them on instead of making the atmosphere so unpleasant. If anyone working on the game sees this, I sincerely applaud you and hope everything from now on will go smoothly. Looking forward to the release. I couldn't have said it better. I feel like the wording was a bit like overly fancy. They're just saying like, stop hating on the devs, you're making it worse, because quite obviously it's so much worse for the devs and the moderators because they already have the stress of uploading a new game and they don't know how well it's going to do, and then Roblox moderation added on to that, and then toxicity added on to that. It's just a lot. I don't really have much to say. I completely agree with everything they're saying. I did think the 12 hours originally for the free set was crazy, considering it came out at 1 AM, so I'd have to play the game before lunch, which I did end up doing, but I'm glad there was a 4-hour availability on the free set. I do like to see the opinions from different times and different periods of Monsterverse's beta release, because it really shows the opinions of the people of when certain things are happening and how that changes. Sorry for this really random last section. I felt like I had to do something more lighthearted. Wait, I found a bad Reddit post from 23rd of October when the first ban happens. Keep in mind, this is just my alleged opinion based on stuff I've seen happen with other Roblox games. So just gotta say from the upside, I don't agree with a lot of things they're saying. So if the reason was actually Roblox being weird, it would probably be back up already. Roblox doesn't just ban a game because a lot of people join. This happens with a bunch of games on update days. It would do this if the big number of players would be bots or exploiters. This seems like a man said it, if I'm honest. You really don't understand misogyny and the fact that maybe the big corporations like Roblox don't care about the women-centered games. Not saying that women are the only people who should play. I'm just saying that they don't care about inclusivity. Having a game that can be perceived as sexual, it doesn't look good for Roblox considering they're platforming predators. Anyways, I'm going to continue with the post. My theory is that the number of people joining is not the reason for the moderation, just something they told the community so people wouldn't freak out. I guess I agree with that part. Like, I don't think the number of players was a big part. A lot of people were saying it's possibly because Roblox plays favourites with games like Steal a Brain Rot, and they don't want any other, which they have their like claws deep into. So they don't want any other bigger games because Monsterverse has a lot of like people who want to play it. A lot of people are excited. It already has 2 million views within a week. Visits within a week. And some people are theorizing that Roblox doesn't want this because they won't be able to control Monsterverse, which is a big game. Monsterverse when it's a big game, unlike the other games. I'm just going to carry on with the post. It says the game was advised as a 5+, but let's be real. Do Skella's stripper heels and teeny tiny skirt in the game's thumbnail look appropriate for a 5-year-old? In my opinion, the game should be a 13+. 13+? Because someone has a short skirt, stripper heels. You can tell they're already incorrect by objectifying like this NPC. And her heels aren't even remotely stripper heels, they're just like, she just has long legs and whatever. And people, believe it or not, people with short skirts exist in the real world. You can't say, oh no, the 5-year-old, will they see them existing? It's just awful, because someone has a body, which people have in real life, means that the game should be 13+. What should children under 13 be? Wear blindfolds every time they're around a woman who's even slightly busty. Anyways, then they continued to say, another fashion game got banned recently for the body, specifically the upper body, because model had breasts, very small ones, nothing crazy, but still. Roblox hates the female anatomy, apparently. Roblox basically told this developer to change the upper body of their model if they want to re-release the game. Why does this matter? Because the bodies in there were very similar to the MV bodies. The MV upper body actually seems a bit bigger. Especially on the plus size model, it seems to vary a bit from set to set, but on some it's more noticeable. Some NPCs also have it, especially Skella. This is where a lot of other fashion games such as DTI have a flat feminine female chest models. Okay, I get their point, but they're saying that games should fit in this mold of super skinny, flat chest to appease Roblox, when Roblox is obviously being misogynistic and biased towards people, plus size people, because believe it or not, there's nothing wrong with having larger breasts. Jesus Christ. I believe that the moderation happened because one of these two, Skella's outfit / pick of the game not being child friendly. Grow up. If you thought that Skella was sexual in any way, you need to, I don't know. I think that's your problem, not gonna lie. Roblox thinking the female upper body needs to be flatter, yes, but they're not approaching the problem. They're saying it's Monsterverse's fault for adding female anatomy, accurate female anatomy, not Roblox's misogynistic moderation. For one would mean a rework of Skella and her outfit / art would take a while, but as long as the second one where they would need to rework the bodies and the sets to match. I was gonna say, to redo her art, her model, you'd have to change all the bodies, which just seems very pointless because the whole point of Monsterverse is that there's inclusive body types. So now we're just saying everyone has to be stick thin and have no breast. Either way, I don't think the game will release on the 24th anymore. It didn't. That was a really bad take. It seemed like they were slightly realizing the problem and then they were like, it's Monsterverse's fault for... Okay, that made me a little bit angry, so that's probably going to be my last one. Oh, actually, Peach, who is the creator of Monsterverse, gave a reply to this. I said, to actually answer this, no, Skella is oddly not the reason for the removal. I know why so many people thought this, but she's honestly completely fine. Roblox moderation had 5 months in advance to remove the thumbnail of her, or the icon whenever they liked lol. This likely has a lot to do with the fact that Skella is not exactly detectable for Roblox AI since she's super saturated with hot magenta skin, hot pink bones and blood, vibrant purple hair, vibrant blues and greens used in her design. I explained this in some posts on the Discord, but basically removal has more to do with the EU laws. Someone basically mass reported. Then terminating their account, which then requires Roblox to delete or remove any data that the user may have had. Since we're a newer game, ours was deleted from what my friends have told me, plus suspicious activity, their own words, not mine, was another notification before it got taken down. The game was up for 5 minutes and had a spike of 2k players. This was also the first time the game was publicly available since its creation. So I'm thinking that this was contributed to the removal info in the first place, so pretty much it's a matter of trying to get Roblox moderation to give us a human moderator. And hopefully it doesn't delay the game more than it already has, since we really want to keep everyone game passes for people who already bought them. I'm glad the creator responded in a nice manner, because I would have crashed out if someone was saying it's not. But it's quite interesting to know what the creator was thinking of the first time it got banned. The creators and the devs themselves don't actually know why Roblox was banning the game. So anyways, that's it from me. Sorry for this really long Reddit section at the end. I just felt like I had to make this podcast a little bit longer. And I feel like having a heavy deep dive and then just looking at a bunch of people's opinions, as well as the confessions segment, just made sense. So thanks for watching. Please don't be toxic about Monsterverse or Royal High. I know my comparison between the two may seem a bit like toxic. I didn't mean it in that way. The meaning of this video was to defend Monsterverse. While as a Royal High creator, Monsterverse has a lot of potential and it will almost definitely be better than Royal High. Not that this matters, and I guess it depends what your favourite parts of the games are. Thanks for watching this episode of the Dress Up Dispatch. Next episode I'll be talking about the Royal Halloween update. I know it's a bit late, but there's a lot I haven't covered because I just couldn't be bothered to deal with all the different Royal Halloween updates. So yeah, thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.